Oh, take a look. Whizbang's working on something wacky over here.
Let's do this. That's done. Then we click this one. Cast 12 arcane or holy spells. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is now with double trouble. Twilight Time is making mess of the tavern. Shush what? Horse on hero skin, Yrel the Knight. Okay, if I pick this one. Battleground hero skin. Wait, Battleground? Fuck is it? Catch up card pack, standard card. Okay, I don't care about any battleground hero skin or... So this one is for me. I'm gonna get a paladin skin. So much better. Yeah, let's choose that one. Let's see. Play one game of Trillions Horson. Yep. Play 3 quick draw cards. God damn it. Quick draw. Can we change that to something more fun? Yes, we could. Nice. Okay. Traditional Hearthstone game. Arcane or holy spells. Then we need to change that one. Spends 750 mana, use your hero power. Arcane or holy. Let's see why. Let's see what kind of decks can I play. No. Let's see. Do Warrior have any arcane spell? Probably not. Okay, nope. Warrior? Eller Warrior Hunter? Frost, Fire. Here we have Arcane. Nope. No Arcane here, no Arcane there. Nope. Nope. Nature. Okay, I would say no. What the fuck do Shaman have? Is that nature? Nature. No, or can fuck me. Do I really have to play priest? Shadow. Nature, shadow. Do I maybe really have to make a priest deck? Well, sure. Oh wait, I need to. Fuck me. Play one game to initial Hearthstone. We play one game. And once that's done, we'll play some fun stuff to succeed with the holy spells. But while we're doing this, we can watch some of F1 driving ratings of the 2024 Chinese Grand Prix. Let's see what they have to say.
Our Chinese Grand Prix F1 driver ratings. We are here to rate every single driver's performances across the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, and it's our first difficult one because it's a sprint, and some drivers decide to turn up for sprints and not for the race, and vice versa. Right, let's start.
Isn't that funny? Kevin Magnusson. That thing he did against Noda. No. He should get bad points. Maybe a 4.
At the very beginning with Kevin Magnussen. Qualified in the sprint in 12th, finished 10th. Qualified for the main race in 17th and finished 16th. I'm giving Kevin Magnussen a 3 out of 10. I don't think it was a particularly good weekend for him. The sprint was reasonably close to points, but the main race, wiping out Yuki Tsunoda, getting a 10-second penalty, ruining his race, getting absolutely destroyed by Nico Hulkenberg this weekend, and very much a similar sort of vibe to what we expected from K-Mag last year, where he's just miles off what Nico...
And this made me feel like, can he really keep the seat when he doesn't make some great improvements?
Been able to achieve, but Nico Hulkenberg showed what was possible, and K-Mag threw that in the bin.
Indeed, I've gone for a 4 out of 10 for K-Mag. The sprint was decent enough. Obviously, qualified better there, but that was in a wet quali, and Hulkenberg showed what they could have done in dry conditions. They actually do have a genuine chance, and Nico scored points, while Magnussen was unfortunately doing Magnussen things and taking drivers out the race. Although I did enjoy how Kevin Magnussen and Lance Stroll just recreated one of the greatest battles of all time. It almost...
Okay, that one was kind of great. That was for last place, was it? It was fighting to the death almost.
Reminiscent of like Kubica and Massa and Fuji all those years ago, where they're swapping positions every corner. I don't know why that was so good. It was for 16 between two drivers that had taken people out of the race, but it was brilliant to watch because
yeah, both of them, and for some reason they're in Formula 1.
Two drivers that already had nothing to lose, and I think fair play they didn't make contact somehow.
Thank you.
Go away, Ad. No need to see that. Come on. And that is over.
I think fair play they didn't make contact somehow.
Thank you, K-Mag, for that one lap of gorgeous action. The fans gave Kevin Magnussen
give
a
me
5.
Oh shit, I have brought. Sure. Remove all of them.
Nico Hulkenberg.
Oh, he gave 5.
Next.
I mean, he got points in the race. Well, a point. Really? Yeah, he got 1 point. Don't know how we did in the sprint.
Qualified in the sprint in 13th.
6 maybe. 7.
Finished the sprint in 19th. Qualified 9th and finished 10th.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Nico Hulkenberg.
9?
I think it
Why?
was a very good drive from him in the race. Obviously, sprint didn't go to plan, but
Really? 9? No.
for him to, you can argue it's very hard to score points in the sprint, whereas in the race, Haas, he delivered in qualifying again and made sure he stayed best of the rest in the race. Yeah, Hulkenberg's doing a very good job, and it's also really good to see him now be rewarded with a car that is capable to actually drive a Grand Prix distance without destroying its tyres, so he can turn those amazing qualifying performance and actually get something from it at the end of the weekend as well.
Absolutely. I've gone for a 9 out of 10 as well for Nico. Of course.
Fucking 9? Holy shit. Some Ariana Bisa cost 3 or less. Sure.
sprint is whatever, but
Also
he
nine.
scored
What?
a point and a half, and therefore that absolutely outweighs everything else. I wonder if he would have scored that point had
No.
Bottas not had the problem. I think it would have been
Or Ricardo had the problem, or Tsunoda had
very
the
close
problem.
between the two of them, as it was in qualifying as well, and it was a proper battle of who will win Formula B. And yeah, I think Nico did a great job. Yeah, a very good performance from Nico, and the fans gave him an 8 out of 10.
8. I can get 7, but 9 or 8 now.
Zhou Guanyu now. Sprint quali was 10th, finished the sprint in 9th, and qualified 16th and finished 14th. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Zhou Guanyu this weekend. The sprint
Yeah, true.
was
7.
a really promising start to the weekend, and you did wonder, oh, maybe, just maybe, we're going to have some points on the cards for Kick Sauber.
Yeah, both the race and the sprinters could
But it didn't happen. The race was a lot worse. Of course, it was disappointing for him to be knocked out in Q1, especially with Bottas getting through to Q3, and that just pretty much ruined his race from there. But I feel like Zhou left definitely a bit on the table for the
God,
race.
fuck me, I hate this. Well, at least it did the hero power. Let's see. What should I do? I should at least get some armor up.
Race on Sunday at the very least.
Yeah, I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Zhou. His sprint result was very good, and a shame again that you don't get points for that because P9 is a strong result. But when we had the dry
True.
qualifying, he was, a long way behind Bottas, and Bottas showed that Stake could definitely have scored points. So when a lot of the other top runners had problems, there wasn't opportunity for Sauber. So I think they actually have a good, the result was there for them to take, and he didn't have any problems really. So I think it was a missed opportunity. Respectable but not amazing job from Zhou, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, what should I do? Yeah, that's the best one. Then I get more armor. Nope. Oh. Yeah, sure.
And the fans gave Zhou a 6. Valtteri Bottas. Sprint quali was
7 maybe?
9th. Sprint result was 12th. Qualified for the main race in 10th and did not finish.
7,
I've
8.
gone for a 9 out of 10
9 also.
for
Why?
Bottas. I think had he got a sprint point, it would be a 10 as well, even though he DNF'd in the main race, because I think he delivered a brilliant weekend. His pace was phenomenal. You look at that in a sound.
You could have killed this one. Good job. want is healing.
I've got the beast in my sights.
At least I had chicken. So you're a fan of my
Albert to get 9th in qualifying and then 10th in qualifying in the main race. Really good performance, very unlucky. Points definitely were there, and it's going to be very hard to come by. So Bottas again, just doing unbelievable things on a low grip track.
I've also gone for a 9 out of 10, which feels crazy for someone who's DNF'd halfway through the race. It wasn't even that, I don't think, but he was performing at a very high level, was Valtteri this weekend. Really impressive, and I think he would be world champion if we had 24 low grip tracks when he was at Mercedes. But it was a pleasure to watch him, and it was such a shame that just this Sauber, they don't have all their ducks in a row, do they? They really don't. That one thing seems to go wrong at all times. But I still think he deserves a really high grade, so I'm in complete agreement. The fans aren't, though. They've gone for a...
Gather round for s'more Ben & Jerry's Sundays. Inspired by the campfire with gooey marshmallows, chocolate ice cream, and all the chunks and swirls.
Det är
There's
det
s'more
som
love in every
over.
spoonful. And a vegan flavor
Ben
too.
& Jerry.
Root from Ben & Jerry's.
För de stökiga. För de klumpiga.
Oh my god.
Och för alla som inte är rädda.
Yeah, go away, Ad. Did I win this? Or did I lose this? And I
Yuki Tsunoda as Tommy is
That is
shaking his head
shocking. Come on,
furiously at a 7 out of 10 for Bottas.
I
That
take
is
it back
wild.
what I said about we can respect everyone's
Respecting.
opinions.
Okay, let's go to Yuki Tsunoda now. Sprint quali was 19th,
Yeah,
finished the
one
sprint in
match
16th, qualified in 19th, and did not finish. I've gone for a 4 out of 10 for Yuki Tsunoda this weekend. Rather disappointing.
4? Yeah, shit, he had not a good weekend. So sure.
He's been
Or
slower
sounds
than
like-
Daniel Ricciardo all weekend. Of course, he was
Yeah.
actually making some decent progress in the race until he got yeeted by Kevin Magnussen round, and that ruined his race completely from there. So I'm not going to grade him any lower than a 4 because he might well have been on for something, not any points, but some reasonable 13th or 14th. But instead, DNF'd, and all I can really say is that a 4 out of 10 is about right.
Indeed, I have also gone for a 4 out of 10. His qualifying was not great. Couldn't do anything in the sprint in a short race. He may have got
Ricciardo.
something had Magnussen not crashed into him, but you got to think, as I said, with the other drivers, there was an opportunity
6
there
or 7,
for
I
points.
believe.
The fans gave Yuki a 5.
Ricciardo
Daniel
is-
Ricciardo, sprint
on,
quali 14th,
7,
sprint
6.
result 11th, qualified for the main race in 12th, and did not finish.
Gone for a 6 out of 10 for Daniel Ricciardo. Good but not great drive. He's kind of finished where in a decent enough position, but maybe could have got points for the better result, particularly with a sprint, a wet sprint a wet sprint shootout, where we got a bit of a mixed up grid, and it always gives those opportunities for something good. But it's a better weekend for Daniel Ricciardo, which is saying a lot when he got rear-ended by Lance Stroll, but it's a more solid weekend to take a little bit of pressure off him.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Daniel as well. Obviously, out-qualifying Yuki both of the sessions is decent, because I don't think he'd done it at all this season up until this point. Unfortunately for the DNF, didn't look like he was anywhere near the points, to be honest with you, but he still had a bit more of a settling weekend after obviously DNFing on lap 1 for the Japanese Grand Prix. So 6 from me and a 6 from the fans as well. Logan Sargent, sprint qualifying 20th.
I can't get free.
Sprint result 18th, qualifying 20th, finished 17th.
2.
4 out of 10 for Logan Sargent,
4.
which sounds crazy considering he qualified last in both qualifying sessions.
Why 4 then?
But he wasn't a million miles away from Alex Albon. I think Williams in general had a really poor weekend. Yeah, at the end, actually, yeah, it's actually a borderline 3. Oh God, I'm giving him a 4 because I'm like, he didn't crash or go in a gravel or anything.
Yeah, he didn't crash. 10 of 10.
I'll stick with a 4 just to be nice because some of my grades have been horrendous for him. He really fell off towards the end of the race on those hard tyres because he wasn't that far behind Albon, and then you blinked and he's behind Stroll, literally finishing last of the runners.
I've gone for a 4. Bizarrely, for someone like you say that's qualified 20th in both races and not got a fantastic result to say the least. He was more on Albon's pace. The Williams just isn't very good. I'm more harsh on Logan when he is qualifying 20th, when Albon's up there fighting for points and in 11th or whatever, but that wasn't the case.
And of course as well, Logan's penalty, which was very, very harsh indeed. We spoke about it in the main podcast for that safety car infringement and passing Hulkenberg.
That was weird. Can I understand why that happened?
After being about an inch behind him at the line in which it's measured. But
yeah, we're not downgraded him for that, just for any clarification.
No,
that was not on him.
So the fans gave Logan a 3. Alex Albon, sprint quali 18th.
3-2.
Sprint result 17th, the main quali 14th, and finished the main race in 12th.
Well, for a 6 out of 10 for Alex Albon,
true.
I feel like he's having quite a quiet season. I know the Williams isn't there and have those signature nice performances that they have where sometimes they're unbelievably quick, but I expected more from him, in the sprint quali in particular. To be 18th is not great, not the greatest race for Albon. He is really having such a quiet year after what was such a good year last year.
He certainly is. I have gone for a 6 out of 10 for Alex as well. He did end up finishing 12th in the main race, so not horrendous.
I mean, that should be better than... that you can go almost a 9.
Far from points. Still not quite that performance that we would like to see from Williams, especially with Albon getting in the mix for a point or two, because Williams absolutely need it. But yeah, they were nowhere in the sprint. But yeah,
oh my God,
I can't really give any higher than that, and the fans don't either, because they've also gone for a 6 out of 10 for Alex Albon. Esteban Ocon started the sprint in 17th.
Fuck me, want more equality. The fuck should I do?
I wonder.
Let none survive.
Sure. What is this?
18th, finished the sprint in 13th, the main quali 13th, and finished the race in 11th. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Esteban.
Yeah,
Ocon,
sure. So.
Very close to points, only a couple of seconds off Hulkenberg. Had it been a point, I think it's sort of 8 or even maybe 9 territory, but yeah, just fell short.
And how many fucking... Oh my God. 11 more. Fuck me.
A little bit of a glimmer of hope for Alpine.
I mean, true. They actually could do something in this race, but far off to being, you can say, good. A good weekend.
Perhaps
less bad weekend.
They were at least in the mix with the... Well, they were further ahead of Williams, and they were fighting RB.
No,
and
fucking well,
slightly more acceptable for Alpine.
Losing to fucking Murloc Tech, and now I get all this fucking nice stuff. Fuck me.
Also gone for a 7 for Ocon. I think it just shows that Alpine are in a woeful situation, but when
the perfect
they
start for the
have a car
Murloc
that
Tech,
is hopefully better, I think the drivers are capable of delivering results, because to be 2 seconds off points in that car is a good a good result for Ocon. I can't believe how low they've swooped that is a good result.
The fans get
Yeah, that is a good. The fuck did he say?
They've swooped that is a good result.
Yeah, that's a good result.
The fans gave him a 5. Pierre Gasly started the sprint in 16th, finished the sprint in 15th, and then in the main quali was 15th and finished 13th.
5.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10. He didn't do too badly, but I think there were some moments where he was getting clearly very frustrated about the situation, complaining on the radio about certain overtakes and things. And yeah, thankfully his mechanic was okay after that pit stop as well, because well, when it rains it pours for for Alpine. But his race wasn't a huge amount to shout about, really.
Yeah, me too. I've gone for a 5. He was with Ocon in the early
Me
stages, but of course having that early terrible pit stop meant that he fell out of contention and then didn't really manage to do much after that, despite having
Still, man, 9 and 9.
2 safety cars. So yeah, 5 from me, and the fans also gave Pierre Gasly a 5. Lance Stroll!
Oh my god. He got no points right in a booth. Oh my god. Let's see, where do we have it? Sprint. Sprint, great. Let's see. Let's start 15. Let's sprint 14. Then starting grid in the race. 11. And he ended up being 15. I mean, I should say 2.
Sprint quali 15th, sprint result 14th, qualified 11th, finished 15th. I am locking in a 1 out of 10 for Lance Stroll, and the 1 is just sympathy. Oh, it is just so depressing to watch him do things. It is sad. And Lawrence Stroll, perhaps deep down, is regretting hiring Fernando Alonso, because it really does show exactly what that car can do. And Lance...
Yeah. And you just make your son looking so bad. It's the biggest joke in Formula 1.
Giving him a 1, not just because he drove into the back of Daniel Ricciardo, but because he then blamed the cars ahead, that it was their fault. And that's annoyed me, which is wild to me and shows a lack of wheel knowledge on Lance Stroll's part.
Right, it shows that he's never been blamed for anything in his life.
Oof size, mega. So yeah, 1 out of 10 from me. What more do you say? It's just woeful.
It is. I've gone for a 3 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. It is
3. What the fuck are you doing? It's 2 or 1.
one of those incidents that can happen, but
Can happen. Yeah. So that's why he crashed.
he has to take some blame for it. It's a shame that he hasn't taken blame for it, because I
And you
think people
give
would have a lot
him
more
a
respect
free
for
for that.
him if he did. It's an attitude of someone that will never be fired and can't do anything wrong, and it just shows the way he's like acting with these kind of incidents. They just like, well, it's not my fault, when it clearly was, because he was watching an apex when there was a car braking in front of him. It's not even just the crash that has taken his grade down. It's the fact that his qualifying is so poor when Fernando Alonso has stuck it 3rd in both quali sessions.
The fans gave Lance a 0.
Yeah. Actually, he should have a 0.
Jesus.
Wowee, that is, straight stone cold savage. Fernando Alonso now, sprint quali 3rd.
I mean, 9 or 10.
Sprint result did not finish, qualied for the main race in 3rd and finished 7th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Fernando Alonso. His qualifying performance is...
That's a 8, but that Bottas and Hülkenberg did was a 9. The fuck?
are unbelievable. I don't think the Aston
And still you give him an
belonged
8.
anywhere near
Sounds like a 10, if you return.
the second row. The sprint result, of course, you know, he can take some blame for that, for an over-ambitious move. It's not an outrageous move. He just, you know, saw a chance to race someone, went wrong, and it cost him a few points. But he was hanging on for dear life, and then I think he was let down by the strategy in the race, but for me, he's a difficult one to...
Yeah, because of the safety car. Please, get some wheel knowledge.
to judge, because I don't think I can downgrade him just because he qualifies
You
really
did. You gave him an 8 instead of a 9 or 10.
well and then drops back because I think he's just over-delivering so much in qualifying.
Sounds like 100% a 10 then.
Yeah, I know what it feels like for a driver that I like
So
to
10?
over-deliver in qualifying and
10,
then fall
9?
back.
10.
And then everyone thinks
pole
they're
position.
washed, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone thinks they're washed, and it's a terrible stat to have pole positions. Anyway, this is Fernando Alonso, and I'm going
9.
for an 8 out of 10 as well.
Why?
It is on paper. You look at it and go, well, he
Everything you say sounds like a 10. Or at least a 9. But you give him an 8. Like,
qualified third for the sprint, didn't finish because of an error on his part and got a puncture and all that sort of stuff. And then in quality for the main
no,
race,
he's there. Carlos Sainz was washed and couldn't get past.
again third, and then finished 7th with a questionable strategy. But I think that Aston Martin
They had to do the strategy. Please learn something.
didn't really belong in the places that he was putting it, and he drove incredibly well. Perhaps he could have overridden some decisions that Aston Martin decided to do with that strategy at the end, but instead they went with it, they tried it, and it's still some decent points for Fernando in a car that you would expect him to finish probably 9th. The fans gave Fernando an 8-2. Not an 8-2, an 8-TOO.
82. Might go
82,
82 out of 10.
Oscar Piastri now, sprint quali 8th, sprint result 7th, main quali 5th, finished 8th.
Maybe
For a
6.
7 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. A good weekend, but nothing to write home about. Lando has really wiped the floor with him, I would say, this weekend. But for Oscar, I would say a concerning weekend from the race pace perspective. Of course, he did pick up massive damage after the whole Lance Stroll.
So annoying. Nice.
Reporting for duty.
Lab insect and die insect.
Impact, but even before then he was struggling for pace quite drastically compared to his teammate, and that's what we saw a little bit across last year, and we're like, okay, maybe he'll learn how to bed in the tyres better and keep that longevity and keep the pace throughout the whole race. But yeah, something lacking for Oscar in the main race.
Yeah, I've also gone for a 7 out of 10. You can just essentially copy and paste any previous podcast from one of the normal Oscar races where he's done a good, solid job, but just doesn't get it together in the race in terms of that race pace that he's still clearly lacking, that I thought he might have sorted out. But then it is that high, low grip track that maybe is not in his favour.
The fans gave Oscar a 7.
Oh yeah, I already given
Lando Norris now.
Lando Norris. Man, the sprint race was not good, but the P2 done in the race.
Sprint
That
quali
is
first,
an 8.
sprint result 6th, main quali 4th, finished 2nd.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lando Norris.
9? The fuck? You give Alonso an 8, but you give Lando Norris after that sprint race a 9.
It is a 10 out of 10 performance in the race.
So a 10.
It's just one silly moment from the sprint which has let him down on a weekend where even if he had just let Hamilton go,
Weird ad.
might have
save.
easily finished second in the sprint. It's an easy 10 out of 10. I think he would have been the driver of the weekend by...
I mean, I played a weapon. Can't you play it? So I can at least play this?
a country mile, actually. Like, would have been such a good performance, because sprint quali, again, him delivering in wet conditions when the track is slippery.
Pole by 1.3 seconds.
He's so good at that. It kind of goes under the radar, and then maximised everything from the race.
I've also gone for a 9 out of 10, mainly because we know what was possible for Lando in the sprint.
could be a P2 there also.
Can't give him a 10 if we're looking at the whole weekend, because second place was absolutely on the cards for Lando in the sprint as well, and that would have rounded off an incredible weekend for him. But that being said, the race was stunning. He qualified well, and then just had amazing pace. To not allow Perez to get close is no mean feat. These kind of performances, you see all of the slander and just ridiculous stuff that gets put on social media after Lando tried it round the outside, made a mistake.
Yeah, and you were part of it.
And obviously finished in 6th at the sprint. Lando no wins. And it's a similar stat. Charles Leclerc pole positions is a similar stat with Lando Norris podiums. How are these being seen as bad things? I don't get it. People are so just silly with the fact that they channel this negativity to these drivers that are outperforming their teammates most of the time, and yet are seen as bottlers because they haven't converted against a man and a machine that has broken every record in the last couple of years, pretty much. The fans gave Lando a 10. Carlos Sainz, sprint quali 5th, sprint result 5th, quali 7th, finished 5th. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Carlos Sainz.
Oh my god. Did he play a new... Oh my god, new secret.
I think overall, just a disappointing weekend for Ferrari in general. Lando put a bet on with his team, I think it was, that he was going to finish 35 seconds behind the Ferraris at the end. But I think Charles said after the race that they just put on the hard tyres, which they hadn't put on all weekend, and they were slow. Yeah, I think overall, though, Carlos had a good weekend, some good points still. Finishing 5th in both races is still decent.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 as well for Carlos. The fact that he is finished 5th in both races. Yeah, he's behind Charles, but he is one of those drivers that you could argue that it wasn't as good of a weekend as normal. And what we've seen recently, where I think that is a part of the reason that he surprised so many people when he did get those wins and had the good form recently, is because this kind of performance is where a lot of the time he was finishing in these...
Oh my god, now he plays the weapon. Fuck me.
Places and getting consistent, solid points, and maybe just a bit slower than Charles Leclerc. And that's exactly what he's done.
The fans gave Carlos a 7. Charles Leclerc...
Oh, fuck me. Carlos Sainz.
Amazing.
I'm almost out of cards. Reporting for duty.
What would I give Carlos Sainz? The fuck did he finish? Sainz 5 and 5.
I bring the muscle and the magic.
I mean, sure. 8
Leclerc,
to 7.
sprint quali 7th, sprint result 4th.
Oh, Leclerc. 9 with
Qualified
8.
6th and finished 4th.
Gone for an 8 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc, just one higher than Carlos Sainz. Good weekend, more what we expect. Don't think he could have held on to Perez at the end. The car performance was too good, but yeah, maximising a result again, and it was a good drive from Charles.
It wasn't a comprehensive destruction of Carlos Sainz. I think Carlos is still driving very, very well, and he had older tyres than Charles at the end, so can understand he was nursing them on the way to the finish line. But yeah, Charles still quite a quiet race in a lot of ways, maximising the points, deserves an 8, and the fans also gave him an 8 out of 10. George
Russell 7.
Russell, sprint quali 11th, sprint result 8th, qualified 8th and finished 6th. Speaking of quiet races, George Russell, my God, I don't even remember seeing him apart from maybe at the start. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for George, because still quiet, but getting a point in the sprint, finishing 6th in the main race when Hamilton's been having all of these problems. I think George had a good weekend, and yeah, should be quite happy.
Yeah, gone for a 7 out of 10 as well. A very, very quiet weekend from George Russell. Didn't deliver in the sprint, really, compared to Hamilton. Had a great one, but he was much better, although very quiet in the main race. It's still wild to me what an uneventful race, and how Mercedes are just behind McLaren now.
And Fernando as well.
And Fernando, yeah.
Mercedes engine.
They're so beautiful.
The fans gave George a 7. Now on to the hardest driver to grade probably of the entire weekend, Lewis Hamilton.
So I wouldn't have gave him anything because for the sprint race, Alonso and Carlos Sainz made so he could easily keep the second place. Lando Norris gave the fight up really fast, so he got a really easy there. And the race was really bad. I would say 6.
Sprint quali second, finished the sprint in second, qualified 18th for the main race and finished 9th.
Yeah, definitely the most difficult driver to rate, but thankfully his fan base are the most understanding of the lot. So I've gone for 7 out of 10. It is a 5 out of 10 for the race, in my opinion. A really poor race from him. Maybe didn't get through the field as quick as I thought. Struggled, didn't like the soft tyres, did he, at all? And in a race where, yeah, there were a few safety cars and things, maybe expected a little more from him. But then turn that around and look at the sprint, particularly in the wet conditions in the sprint shootout, we saw exactly why he is the driver he is. Good second place as well. So it really was a tale of two very...
Really? 2 more fucking secrets. Fuck me. Oh, that could be the big misplay.
Very, very different races for Hamilton.
Yes, it certainly was, and I thought maybe we'd disagree considering the very difficult nature of trying to grade him, but I've also gone for a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, he nearly doubled his points tally, didn't he, just from the sprint, and then still managed to score a couple of points in the main race after a very, very difficult qualifying, which was completely his error, that into the hairpin. The fans gave him a 6. Sergio Perez, sprint quali 6th, sprint result 3rd, qualified 2nd, finished 3rd.
8.
I have gone for a 7 out of 10 for Sergio Perez this weekend. It was not actually that great, to be honest with you, in terms of his pace. Nowhere near Max. He's finished 3rd in both. You might think, well, perhaps he deserves an 8, but he was nowhere near Max at any point during the weekend. The main race in particular, where there was 2 safety cars in the middle of the race, and he still finished miles behind Max and got beaten by a McLaren. That's why I've gone for a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I've gone for a 7 out of 10 as well. You look at it on paper, yeah, like you say, 3rd and 3rd. Solid result. He'd have absolutely taken that halfway through last year when his performance was dipping. And he is doing what Red Bull would want of him. But he should have been 2nd in both sessions. Max Verstappen had a rare off day in the sprint shootout. Just like he, had the problem in Australia, and that is when Perez needs to absolutely capitalise. Because even if he'd won the sprint, I know it's not a race win, but you got to think that Max was going off all the time. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Max is washed, can't drive in the way. It's got the best car in the world," and he still beat Sergio by 2 positions in the qualifying, and that is when Sergio needs to step up. He is a long way behind, but 6 is way too harsh for someone that's delivered 2 podiums, so I've gone for a 7.
Yep, agreed, and the fans also agree, giving him a 7. Finally, Max Verstappen, sprint quali 4th, sprint result 1st, qualified 1st, finished 1st.
It's a 10 out of 10, even with the sprint shootout issue and him sort of putting himself on the back foot. He made such easy work of it. It was fun to see him in the pack while he had no battery for a few laps. But once he got there, he just showed what an advantage he has, and he delivered again, as he does.
I have also gone for a 10 out of 10 because despite the sprint quality stuff, it was difficult conditions for everybody out there. Apart from that, it was scintillating stuff from Max, driving around an issue in the sprint race, still winning, and then the main race was perfect from him. So great job, Max, and the fans also gave him a 10 out of 10. So who is our P1? I think Max was the only one to get a 10, no?
He sure was.
Well done, Max. You win something else as well.
Let's roll 0.
The P1 driver ratings.
That's the award
Chinese
that everyone's
Grand
here
Prix.
for, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's where he'll get really excited. Is the P1. So 10 out of 10, Max Verstappen for me. You're also doing that as well, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Shame for Lando, that small mistake. I think he would have got it other than that. And also a shame for Valtteri Bottas with his DNF.
Alas, Max Verstappen wins once again everything. So there you go. Anyway, that is it. Thank you so much to everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you soon for another piece of P1 content. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Go away. That we will wait with, and we can do. It's time for Williams or James Wows or James Wu to give some information about the race.
3 major accidents in just 2 races.
Oh shit! Let's see if I can make.
I wonder.
3 major accidents in just 2.
God damn it! See if I can make it.
Let me think.
The fuck? Oh.
2 race weekend. 3 major accidents in just 2.
Fuck me, I'm still too slow.
Let's move quickly.
Battle. Reporting for duty.
3 major accidents in just.
James? There we have it, James Wu. We'll talk about the Williams. The James Wows were the Japanese GP Williams
2 race weekends at the beginning of what is going to be a very challenging season puts us on the back foot, no doubt about that. Very few teams have the stock to be able to cope with that. The accidents have been large. In both cases, we've had chassis that have got to go back here to the UK to be repaired. We've lost most components on the car, and the updates also got damaged in the process. We have values here within our organisation. One of the ones that means the most to me is resilience, and we have that in spades. And this is the time where we dig into that and make sure that we come out fighting in Shanghai and all the races beyond. By no means is this a start season that.
Oh shit, Shanghai was, oh my god, yeah. Nothing bad happened in China, but it was slow fight.
We all wanted, but it's a 24 race calendar.
True.
We're here to come back fighting and make sure that we reset, use the car performances available to us, because that's part of the positive of what came out of Japan. We were in a circumstance where we were there or thereabouts with car performance, and use that to good avail across the remainder of the season to make sure we fight our way back up the championship order. In terms of Japan itself, it was great to see Logan racing with a number of teams around us. Clearly, we have elements we need to improve. When we came in for that last pit stop, 5 teams all together at the same time on track, we lost out. Margins of just a few tenths of a second, but that's what our sport is about. It's about getting all of those correct in the right moment and producing a result that you're proud of. We have much to do before China, and we now go into 2 sprint race weekends with China and Miami.
Yeah, and man, was not like. I mean, Alex Alma and the race good. But the start of the race was not good.
Back to back. The regulations again have changed for this year. There's a lot of learning that we need to be doing in a very short space of time. I'm confident that we have the tools required to set us up for a good end of the season, a good mid of the season. And I say what we need to be doing is not be caught up with what's happened behind us, but rather look forward to what we have in front of us.
True.
Welcome to the Valsberg.
Fuck, I need to survive this. 200 recruits. I cannot take any more damage. And I need a coin.
Let me think.
Not in my house. I must move quickly.
Verdict presented by Kraken.
I mean, if I survive this, I can at least play this.
Reporting for duty.
Reporting for duty.
Come on, play something good that I can trade with this one. Oh, I will kill it.
Reporting for duty.
Oh my god. Oh my god, my play that get no damage was the right thing. Holy fuck. Man, so beautiful. +8.
It was a pretty major accident with Alex. The car.
Oh yeah, this is Japan. Ricardo and go fuck yourself. Stop having these fucking cards. I have no early game and you. Fuck is this? Wow. Wow. So fucking good play. Man, that's so fucking fun.
None may steal our secrets.
Fucking nice. So
I went into the tire wall. The deacceleration was fairly large. Fortunately, both Alex and Daniel were okay. Accidents like that could end up with an injury, and we didn't have that in that circumstance. In terms of the chassis itself, it would have been repairable trackside. So it is damaged, but it is repairable trackside. However, we can do a far better job by sending it here back to the UK. It will be a lighter repair than what we've been able to do there, and a more complete repair as well. So there is damage, but nothing that we can't repair, and we'll have the car back in China as the result. In terms of the accident damage itself, the more significant item is probably that across the last 2 races, we've lost a number of floors, a number of rear wings, a number of front wings, suspension components, gearboxes have been impacted as well. This is a large list by any standard, and it's hard to keep up with the amount of spare quantities required at the same time.
Yeah, if you lose them, so I mean, 3 races with big crashes.
As working as performance updates in the background. So to answer the second part of that question, the impact is the following. We always plan a certain amount of financial attrition from components, but clearly not in 2 weeks like it is now, but spread rather across the 24 race season.
True.
So the impact on it is it will have an impact on what we do performance-wise later on in the year, and the performance components that we brought forward through hard work to Japan are unfortunately destroyed. And so again, that puts us on the back foot for performance across the next few races while we build up stock of those again. So a little bit of a short term, a little bit of a medium term impact on where we are.
Man, fucking fist spam, man. Oh, this could be a good question.
One of the fascinating things with Formula One is that actually it's all too easy to get caught up.
I got scared when I have 10 cards and it's still not my turn, but no, it was my turn. That's why I got 10 cards.
In the now. So right now, it just come out of a meeting where we've been talking about Shanghai and Japan, not about 26. And it's hard to get an organization actually focused on something that's taking place in 2 years' time rather than what's happening in the next 2 weeks, because that's what we're here for. We're here to compete on a world stage. And it's part of the reason why I make sure that focus on the future is very clear, both externally and internally, so that we don't just all get drawn into what's going to happen in Shanghai in 2 weeks' time. So to answer the question, it's not difficult at all to get people worried about what's happening in 24 and 25. It's quite the opposite. It's very difficult to get focused on the future, and that balance is something we have to strike within the organization. Irrespective of this future forward-looking vision, we go into every race weekend wanting to achieve the absolute maximum we can, and we are highly competitive, which means where we finish in this year's championship and next year's championship is of significant impact and merit to us. It's also an indication of where we are as an organization. So the balance of those is what my job is to do, is to make sure we strike the right one. I'm confident now that we do have a good amount of forward vision taking place in the background, that we have teams working, be it on an aerodynamic perspective or concept development or otherwise for 26. And that's going to be very, very strong in the years to come. And what we're also trying to do is make sure our company is structured correctly such that we can deal with almost 3 years worth of work in one, because that's what we're now asking of the organization.
Oh shit, I remember, I should keep them until he plays something really disgusting.
If you think about it this way, the floor and the bodywork associated with it is your large performance driver. So what you're trying to do is keep those items without building too big an amount of spares pot, such that when you do performance updates, you're not having to rotate out loads of items that you don't need anymore. That would be wasteful, fundamentally. So large performance items tend to not have large amounts of stocks. Conversely, items that hardly change across the year, so for example suspension, they're typically the same suspension items you run at round 1 as you will do at round 24. You build up large amounts of stocks of those. Again, nose boxes, those tend to be items that you build up a large amount of stock of. So by that you can probably start to understand how teams, not just ourselves, but pretty much all teams, define what spares are available to them and how you therefore prioritize it. In the circumstance, though, that we've had across the last 2 weeks, it's not about those components being prioritized or not anymore, because all of them were damaged pretty much in this process. So the key element
all of them
now is making sure we build up enough stocks again.
Yeah, and hopefully no more crashes, because that will not be fun. The fuck is this? Let's see, summon to summon recruit different. Okay. Five. Sure.
Not in my house. Battle.
Which is, again, a medium to long-term damage on us, because we're now building stock of something that perhaps isn't as performant as a future component can be, but it's just required to go racing.
Fucking draw card every day.
The strength of this year's car is that we're able to get a balance pretty much across all of the tracks we've been to so far, and they are quite wildly different. Also, we haven't been swinging backwards and forwards in terms of performance order. We've been fairly consistent in where we are. And with the exception of Melbourne, we've had a car that can be racing for points if everything had been absolutely perfect. In Melbourne, that wasn't the case. We were straight out just not quick enough. So the strength of this car is that we're not swinging from track to track, and that means that across 24 races you have 24 opportunities to score points. The next element of it is, as we have added performance to the car, it is producing results on track. Now clearly we're in a circumstance now where damage has put us on the back foot as a result of that, but irrespective, it means that we have a solid foundation and a solid package to work with. It's not a car that's got some spiteful behavior that makes it difficult to therefore add performance to. And then finally, it does correlate to what we have in terms of tools and systems here at the same time. So those foundations are incredibly important to build on. But clearly now what we need to do is to deliver performance step by step, race by race to this car in order to move forward through the field.
Yeah, could Mame give some points? Maybe. Fuck. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is I'm playing against? At least I can play some holy spells. Fuck me, this is so fucking fun. The fuck is this hand?
Strategy will always be a large talking point, and with good reason. What happened to Suzuka is almost a perfect setup for a large amount of unknowns on Sunday, and therefore teams not quite getting it right. Friday, there was a red flag with Logan's accident, which took away a lot of running for individuals. And then further to that, FP2 was wet. So there was very little learning from Friday taken away. Teams didn't know how the tyres were going to perform. Saturday morning.
Yeah, man. I mean, if he could he maybe get some points if the qualifying went well, because he could get up.
Morning, as a result, you saw large amounts of long runs from teams, but not necessarily at the right fuel load, and definitely not at the track conditions we had on Sunday. And that's the third element that wasn't really predicted.
Oh my god!
The track temperatures
give me
against the forecast,
so I can stop playing fucking Priest. That will have at least maybe.
It was the year prior, despite being at a different time of year. Completely different circumstances to how we run the tyres before. Those three unknowns meant that a lot of teams went into the race not quite knowing what needed to be done. So you have to be a lot more dynamic in looking at your degradation data as you're doing the runs and how the tyres are performing. In terms of the red flag, it created an opportunity for teams to try doing a hard to the end of the race. But not all teams had two hard tyres available. So fitting perhaps the hard at that red flag, but not knowing what to do or considering taking the medium, created a little bit of an unknown. The trick with strategy is once you go past a certain point, you're almost committed, because being in a halfway house is worse than getting it wrong entirely. And I think that's really what you came out of the race on Sunday, and you saw a few teams committing but in the wrong direction of travel, and now there's no way for them to back out of it anymore without still compromising where you are. Do I think they're optimistic? I think based on the evidence that there was, if you had two hard tyres, it would have been really, really tough. If you didn't have that, it would have been the wrong thing to do. And I think really, as you saw in the end, the two-stop was very clearly the faster strategy. I think it's well observed. Logan was passing car after car, and
did he? Huh. Was that the sprint
race? As we came into the pit stop, was ahead of those other competitors that we were racing with. His race pace was really on point, and he was doing a good job. At the restart, we opted to fit the hard tyre, which is different to most of the other cars around, and actually was a little bit of a concern, because at the beginning of the race, just a few minutes prior to that, you did see those on medium against those on soft struggling. There was a lack of grip. It almost looked like it was Bambi on ice at some point for some of those cars. And yet Logan dealt with that very well. He was able to come up to speed, get the tyres into a working rhythm, and then, as you saw, his pace just got better and better as he was observing how he was stronger or weaker relative to cars in front. It took him a little bit of time just to adapt his line through turns 17, 18, the last 2 corners, but once he got that absolutely spot on, you saw an overtake after overtake happening. What was it due to? It would have been a combination of elements. I think he built himself up into it. He didn't go straight out. He understood where the strengths and weaknesses were of the car. Without question, it would have been also that it was warmer, so the hard tyre came in a little bit better in those circumstances. And then finally, the grip coming up would have given him just a little bit more confidence. So really more down to him than anything else, but those other
Nice, but probably will not save him seat.
circumstances would have helped. There's always learning that we're doing on the package we have against what we have here in Grove, in our wind tunnel, in our simulator, against what's happening on track. So that learning is ongoing. It's not just one race to the next, that's a continuous process across the year. The other learning that we have is that across these first few races, apart from Melbourne, which we believe we understand more and more now, we've been there or thereabouts in competitiveness, but we have to be absolutely perfect to score points against this mid.
Yeah, and for some reason, I wouldn't say Haas is perfect, but they score the points.
Field that are a tough fight now. The big learning though is as we go into China, we're now into a sprint race weekend, which means we have 60 minutes, just 60 minutes to get the car right on a track we haven't been to for many, many years. A track that may have also changed quite considerably over the last few years as well. So the big learning we've had is just that correlation relative to how we're operating the factory allows us to be on the front foot as we go into FP1 and therefore have the best car possible in that sprint race weekend.
Please. Oh shit, that's over. Give me some more holy spells.
Mysterious orb, what is your wisdom?
The culprit was not tidy.
Nice. Okay, nice.
The victory is yours.
Please tell me I'm done. Oh my god. Finally! We go to that. Fuck me. So boring. And then we go to next account. Let's see if I get any fun quest.
Gather round, everyone. The fun's about to
Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Now we pick same thing. Okay, play again to initially forge 3 cards. No. That can work. Play, no. Play 12 frost or shadow spells. Oh, so warlock or mage. This can actually be fun. Let's see my collection. What do we have in the warlock? Warlock, shadow. That's shadow. Shadow. Yeah, we have a lot of shadow. This will be fun. Shadow game. And while we're doing this, let's watch what Shanghai really like with Kym Illman. Let's see what fun.
G'day from Shanghai on a cold, wet and grey
Good
day.
day, mate.
It's been 5 years since I've been in this country, and today I'm back here for the Formula 1 race.
Oh my god, Gasly in Red Bull. And Bottas in Mercedes. Man, Sebastian Vettel in Ferrari.
And today I'm back here for the Formula 1 race, but I've got a day here in the centre of Shanghai to have a look around.
Yeah, come on.
Now before we get started today, I thought it's wise to have a local Chinese meal, and we've dropped into a very simple restaurant here. Let's see what's on the menu, huh? This whole restaurant is themed around hairy crab, so we started off with some vegetables, and this is a spring roll, hairy crab theme. It's excellent. Salty, and there's a little vinegar sauce here, but I'd eat this. Next up, it's rice with pork and some abalone. The sauce is beautiful. And
that doesn't look nice, and I don't know if the sauce, but could maybe
in
be
Western
good.
Australia, I live in a town where you can actually go out and get abalone for free on 5 Sundays a year, but I normally find...
Oh my god, what the fuck is this? Could this be if you hold a dragon, get an empty mana crystal?
Hey, I got you, friend.
Huh. At least it can be fun map.
Find it a bit rubbery, so let's have a taste. I don't know how anyone eats that. It's just like rubber. It has no taste.
Oh shit, was that thing that I thought wouldn't be good?
Get abalone for free on 5 Sundays a year, but
yeah,
I normally find it a bit rubbery, so let's have a taste. I don't know how anyone eats that. It's just like rubber. It has no taste, and yet it's so darn expensive. Next up, it's hairy crab dumpling. Not as good as the spring rolls. I'm in the back of a taxi now, and this is a Rowway, which is a local car. Now, who is this? This is Summer. Summer has agreed to show me around today. So a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Summer. I'm from Zhejiang, not from Shanghai, which is my hometown is about 3 hours by car from here. Yeah, and I.
Oh my god, 3 hours. That's a long way.
Work in commercial real estate.
And thankfully for me, she speaks stunning English and pretty good Chinese. It's Chinese is your first language, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
That's why I'm so good at Chinese.
What
That's good.
am interested in is whether Chinese people or Shanghai people have any idea about Formula 1.
I think they just have like a general idea of what it is about.
Yeah.
Like it's car racing.
True.
Nutty and sweet latte macchiato. This one's for the prize?
Intenso.
No. Cool. Definitely iced. Sweet. Bye.
An espresso. What else?
Oh my god. Go away, ads.
This desecration of the Titans land stops here.
At least I twist another because man, this is starting to. The fuck are you? He's watching something. Chinese anime? What?
On what is quite a miserable day, we've come out to have a look at this rather special building. It's in the French Quarter, I understand, and there's a lot of people standing around just admiring it. Just stumbled across a lovely candle making workshop.
Fuck is this? Okay, sure.
Here in this beautiful building.
What? Candle factory?
So we've dropped into this Chinese convenience store, and interestingly, these are power banks that you can rent with your Alipay and your phone app. Oh, I've just been told that you don't even have to bring it back to this one. It's like renting a bike. You just take it back to any station that's around. The app will actually tell you where it is. Summer has suggested I try some local.
The fuck did... What? The fuck was that?
It's a lovely candle making workshop here in this beautiful building. So we've dropped into this Chinese convenience store, and interestingly, these are power banks that you can rent.
Power banks? Oh, for
with your Alipay and your phone app. Oh, I've just been told that you don't even have to bring it back to this one. It's like renting a bike. You just take it back to any.
Nice. The future. I wonder if what USA have. Maybe a homeless person outside the store to show off.
A station that's around. The app will actually tell you where it is. Summer has suggested I try some local alcohol. This is all of $3.50 US, and it is China's answer to vodka, I'm told. Not that I would normally street drink in the middle of the day in a convenience store.
How does it taste like?
It tastes, it's a little sweeter than vodka. It's not bad. Imagine if you put that with something else, some fruit
but that was water, but no.
Juice and some ice, it might be a hint of ouzo I'm getting. And the other thing I've just found is China's...
Fuck is this? Once a game if you... Wait. Once per game, if you summon 5 other dragons, take an extra turn. Who the fuck am I playing against? Oh my god. From thinking I could maybe have a fun to this fucking depressing game. Value 100%.
You're both number one to me.
Fuck me. Yeah, that's nothing. You get that one. How many games do I need to play? Oh my god, that was so not fun. Six more shadow spells. At least that quest will be done soon. Play 8 minutes a custom one, and that will probably never happen. Oh my god. 6 more spells.
This knockoff of Maltesers. Not as good as Maltesers, but I don't know how they get away with such an obvious knockoff.
How do they get away with it? Easy. They're the only ones that makes them in China.
Like one? Behind me, a whole lot of people standing in line patiently to get into this Armani pop-up store.
And the fuck is that?
Well, this is Kate Wood. The interesting thing about this shop is that they sell bicycles, but it's not like your average bicycle. I want you to have a look at this. This bicycle is made from
bamboo, and we made it in China. We have a special factory, and it's handmade, and usually it takes about 50 working days to make one.
How much for a bike?
1,200
US dollars?
Yes.
So it's a good bike?
Yes.
Feels solid, and I can see Valtteri Bottas riding one of these to the track one day.
Oh my god, he should. Come on, Bottas, buy one.
I've decided I'd like to come out for a meal tonight, so I've headed out from the Sheraton, which is behind me here. And this gentleman here is John, and John is the concierge at the hotel. And there are a few better that I've ever encountered in my travelling times. He's actually walking me across the bridge so we can find a good place to have a meal. And the area around here is quite lovely. So I've ended up across the river here at this restaurant. What's this restaurant called?
Chinese name is 星空包房.
You get these little huts, and we're outside, as you can see. And these people are in here having a lovely little feast.
Hello.
I've got my own here, and it's set already for 5 people, and it's just going to be me. But thankfully,
only be you.
John's here to translate the menu for me. What have I ordered tonight? Well, I've got some beef and prawns, spring rolls, dumplings, Chinese whiskey, and bin chilling. Any John Cena fans will know.
Yeah, John Cena.
Bin chilling.
Bin chilling?
I might not have.
What the fuck? Hey, sure. Oh wait, I can actually. Fuck, the fuck is this, please? This is so fucking depressing. Fuck is this?
We've conveyed that well because look, the ice creams come out as our first meal. These are like little cornetto ice cream.
And what kind of ice cream is this?
That is terrible. That is not for me. But John, what do you think? Is that okay?
Good.
Actually different. This is
so mean. Call it that bad. When
Chinese whiskey, and it's served in this magnificent 500ml bottle. And what? How much was this?
How much? 78.
78. What's that? 17 Aussie dollars, maybe 11 US. It's a beautiful bottle.
Oh my god, sure.
A bit trickier than we thought to open.
Oh my god, fuck me. Please. Oh my god. Fucking sure. Fuck me. So fucking annoying. Go away, Ad.
2 weeks ago, I was drinking Japanese whiskey, Suntory to be exact, in Japan. And now I have Chinese whiskey. Oh, it's a watered down. It's not the strength of whiskey. It's funny. It's a bit like a sherry or maybe a sherry. Not really my style, but mixed with a bit of soda water, it might be fine. All right, here we go. Prawns first. They're very good. Succulent indeed. And now the beef. Oh, it's a bit spicy too. Good beef.
Good beef.
Have some. Next up, some spring rolls. Not my favourite. No.
Okay, the fact is that improve your each spell skulle you have cast this game. Oh my god. Such a boring game.
Nowhere near as good as the hairy crab spring rolls I had in Shanghai on the Bund the other day. Last but not least, dumplings. Oh, that's too much for one mouthful. This has a lot of green stuff in there. But my favourite, probably the prawns, followed by the beef and the dumplings. These don't appeal. What do you think?
I think it's very nice.
Yeah? What is your favourite out of all of these?
Yeah.
Which is your favourite?
This one.
The spring roll?
Yeah, this is a fish.
Okay.
Yeah. It's special.
Right. So the one that I didn't like, John loves. A little bit of drama paying, as is often the case here. I've tried to use my credit card, which is an overseas credit card, and that does throw up some issues. And I don't want to pay by Alipay, which I finally got working today, and it is taking me probably a...
Sometimes never lucky. The fuck did you play your... Oh my god. Fuck me. Alltså this start have been so fucking bad. No, I feel like I need to. This is a nightmare. Fuck me.
Well over 90 minutes to get the bloody thing working, but Alipay is a payment method used by pretty much everyone, except they charge a 3% fee every time, and they don't get the 3% fee with my credit card, so I think they'll sort it out. So that was probably in the order of $60 US.
I don't know.
For two of us to eat, although we had left a lot of food, but yeah, it was a pretty good meal.
Are we done? 6.
After 5.5 very
one
hectic
more.
days here in Shanghai, it's time to head back to Australia. And whilst you won't be coming on board the flights, I'll certainly show you through the airport until I get to that boarding gate. Well, I checked my baggage in, and they've sent it off on the conveyor belt here, but it's alerted some people down here, so I have to go to the baggage check room, and they're going to ask me some...
Now I get some fucking early stuff. Yeah. Fuck. And I fucking tapped also. What a fun game.
Questions. I dare say I probably left a battery in there. Hello, that's mine. Yeah, that's mine. A quick look at my Leatherman and a little pouch with a number of video cameras in there, small ones.
Nice.
And I'm back on my way. Well, coming into the country, we had to fill out details of all the equipment we were bringing in, which I did.
Is it that one? No. Man, he looks like...
Did the right thing and filled the forms in, left them with them. And then you have to show the...
Someone YouTuber that shouldn't be in fucking China.
Equipment as you go out. Well, technically they just had a cursory glance at a couple of items and then said, right, here's your paperwork, all done. Singapore Airlines uses the Air China Lounge, and I'm in the bathroom right now because I need a shower so badly. But I've got to tell you, it's not a flash lounge. It's not very impressive, and it's ridiculously hot. It'll be about 26 degrees and no airflow. Anyway, the shower will be most welcomed. Big dodgy, ordinary water pressure. That signals the end of my China trip.
Nice. Sure.
I'm heading off to Singapore now, so I'm going to say goodbye to you and invite you to
Singapore.
like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
And stay passionate.
No, you should not.
Just getting a lesson in Chinese Australian politics from my driver here, who's helpfully pointing out a few things about the alliance that Australia has with the US. And we're doing that mainly on a mobile phone with voice to text.
China and Australia have no territorial differences, and
What the fuck is this?
we used to be friendly countries.
Okay. Okay, that was the last thing. Okay, let's see. And we have... I wanna see. Oh shit, let's see. Oh, nice. We finished this game. Then it's time to get some more Minecraft fishes collected. But until then, we can start the F1 Nation podcast.
In China, Lando landed another podium. Checo charged back to the top three.
Yeah.
Alonso was awesome, Hamilton was unhappy, and Verstappen's victory was one of his best ever.
He's going to win the Chinese Grand Prix for the first time in his career. Max Verstappen crosses the line to take victory in Shanghai.
Yeah,
his 58th Formula One win, and he has destroyed the field once more. The Dutchman leads home Lando Norris. Lando Norris with his best result of the season and his 50th career podium.
Sure.
2 Red Bulls on the podium thanks to Sergio Perez, who comes home for another trip to the rostrum.
Tom Clarkson here in the Shanghai paddock. It's F1 Nation's review of the Chinese Grand Prix, and with me are Mercedes reserve driver Fred Vesti and F1 tech expert
Fred Vesti. Hi,
Albert Fagbrugger. Guys, it's great to have you with us. Can we get your reactions first of all?
Yeah, I must say, of course, a strong result from Max, but a really impressive race coming from Lando. He was really fast, and I was quite surprised he was able to keep such a gap to Sergio. And I really think his last stint was strong, so that was really impressive. It was a cool race. Of course, there was a bit of crashing going on at the safety car restart, which as a driver and Formula 1 in general, you don't really want to see. But in a hairpin like that, it can happen. And yeah, that was a bit crazy. But
yeah, it's been the whole weekend has been amazing. I think we have seen a lot of action from Friday to Saturday, and today it's been a strategic race where some teams were trying to want to stop, and it worked. 100% agree with Fred about McLaren. Impressive how Lando was capable to manage the tires and that set and the latest stint. And I think for them, obviously helped by the temperatures. We'll see on the next races if the temperature is higher, if they can do it again. But it's been a big step forward compared to Ferrari, for example.
Do we think it was a better race for 2 safety car periods, or do you think actually it would have been more interesting late on if there had been no safety cars?
Well, for example, Leclerc and Lando were lucky that they got the safety car opportunity and they spotted on for their strategy, and it helped a lot. But it's always adding another strategic factor that puts sometimes the strategies upside down, and it creates new question marks on the table for the teams and for the drivers. So I think it's always a good point.
Well, let's dive further into the race, starting with the dominant force in Formula 1 right now, Chinese Grand Prix winner, Max Verstappen.
It's a great feeling, of course. You never know when you enter the weekend how it's going to go. Sprint weekend normally always a bit more chaotic, so you always want it to go really well, but then it did go really well. So then, of course, very pleased, but also the performance, I think, now in the main race, the car was, I think, an improvement compared to the sprint race even. So it just made my life a bit easier as well. A bit more, could be a little bit more consistent while driving.
Max, you say your car was an improvement from the sprint. Were there any dramas at all for you in that race?
I locked up in the second restart into 6, I think, a little bit. So I was like, that was not ideal. Then I threw a tear off away, which I think I could hear on the intake. It was flapping around, hitting my helmet. So I don't know where it ended up. And with 2 laps to go, I think I drove over a little bit of debris before turn 14. So then a little bit scary because, you know, with all the tires, you know, it's easy to have a puncture at high speed when you drive over carbon. That was it, I think.
Of all the wins you've had this year, from everything you're saying, do you feel this was the most dominant?
It was a good one, yeah. In terms of just also balance in the car, where, yeah, we did a good job as a team to make it even better than what it was at the start of the weekend.
So when a driver wins as much as Max, this was win number 57, would you believe it? We sometimes take his performances for granted, but he was on supreme form in Shanghai, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. Today was a very strong race, but also yesterday in the sprint race, I think really showed his pace. I think he pulled, was it 12 seconds in 10 laps or something like that, which was incredible. And one of the things that is really helping him in a long race like this is that when you have that speed advantage, you can just take care of the tires. In high speed, he can just use the tires 1% less, but over a long stint, that can really make a big difference. So yes, he is fast, the car is fast, but it's almost looking even better because he's able to take so well care of the tires.
I think it was one of his best weekends ever. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%, the most dominant. And there's always a question mark at the end of the race. Have we seen the quickest one where Max keeping some tense on his pocket if he needs still to deploy that extra speed? I think that he is managing the tires in a way that no one can do now in Formula 1, and it's
what? It's
not only the driver, it's the car, it's the team, how they planning the race and the whole weekend. But I think it's been, for me, the most dominant race of the year, yes.
I mean, so dominant in the race, yet he's equally dominant now in qualifying. He's the first driver since Mika Häkkinen in 1999 to take pole at the opening 5 races. And he says he's more confident over one lap in this car than he was last year. That is ominous.
Yeah, I mean, that confidence really shows, and it's something, as a driver, it's difficult to build up. Normally, it goes up and down. Your car, some weekends are stronger than others. But currently they are so strong, and Max is so strong, and it just builds on builds, and that helps him massively. So, yeah, I'm sure he's looking already ahead to the next race and see how he can do that even better.
Checo was much closer to him in Japan 2 weeks ago. Why do you think the gap was bigger here?
Not sure. Obviously, every circuit and every track has his special characteristics, and the driver sets the car in his way. I think that Checo is much more comfortable than other years with the Red Bull. This year is most consistent. He does no mistakes, but here obviously Max has been more, more dominant than other races, and probably that's the increasing gap. I think that Checo has been in the same level. Surprised a little bit by Lando today, but 5 poles, as you said, but not yesterday. On the sprint, Lando took it under rain conditions, so it means that in some conditions the car and the driver are not perfect yet.
Do you know what? It was an incredible pole by Lando. Once it had been reinstated, he was 1.2 seconds faster than anybody. I mean, he has been actually on really good form. But Fred, I did want to ask you, imagine you're Checo Perez, right? When you're in a racing team and you're a driver and you've got someone like Verstappen next to you, how do you deal with that? Is the trick just to completely ignore your teammate, which is what I think Checo's doing this year, or is the trick to analyse his data and try and replicate what he's doing?
To Minecraft.
I think what has happened in the last few years is like Max has been really dominant, and at some point you need to accept that's the case, and then you just need to focus and analyze all the time. How can you improve? And you don't have to improve like from one weekend to another and beat Max. Maybe if you can improve a little bit each weekend, that will help. And Red Bull needs a second driver that's stable and really fast and can put the car P2 every single qualifying. And as long as Sergio is doing that, he's doing a good job. But from my side, I would say it's important that he keeps pushing towards beating Max, because that's what will keep him fast.
Well, Fred, you alluded to that final stint and the gap between Lando Norris and Checo. So let's talk about Lando. Pole for the sprint on Saturday, podium in the Grand Prix on Sunday.
I'm surprised to be sitting here today, but it's a nice surprise, of course. So we've been struggling a little bit. I'm sure everyone does, but with certain things throughout the whole season, which have always been limiting us. Probably felt similar-ish to Australia. Australia, I felt comfortable, and the car felt pretty good as well. So just much better today. Things came alive today. The conditions cooled down, the wind calmed down, and both of these things, I think, played into our hands a little bit more.
Don't remember.
Pleasant surprise,
God,
and yeah, the car felt much better, but obviously not quick enough to match the Red Bulls.
Coming into the weekend, you weren't confident. What changed?
Nothing. we were not. I don't know. I don't know. Like, what did change? We were just quicker than we thought. That's the limitations, the places we expected to struggle probably a lot more. We didn't struggle as much in. So these longer corners like turn 1 have always been a big weakness for us, and parts of turn 1 was probably better than we were expecting, and like the second part was probably as we were expecting. So we're still learning about the car. It's as simple as that. This track's very different. The tarmac's quite odd. Maybe that played into our hands a bit more than we were thinking. Maybe with the old tarmac we would have struggled a bit more. So just little things, you know, we're not making it up. We're giving our honest opinion on where we're going to be. I think if we were to go into a weekend and we knew we were going to be strong, we've said it. So more often than not, we don't feel that optimistic, because all year we've been behind Red Bull. All year we've been behind Ferrari. There's no reason for us to suddenly think we should be ahead. But nothing really pointed to us having an amazing race today, especially the sprint race, which was our best version of events of what can go down. But things just went to plan and kind of went very smoothly from lap 1 onwards. You know, I didn't make a mistake in turn 1 and go off. It's a good start.
Yes.
And got really past Aston and can just control the race.
What were you thinking in the middle of the race when the VSC came out just after you passed the pit lane entry?
There was a few F words and S words and so on. I knew it because it was obvious it was going to be a VSC, but it just didn't come out. I was saying to myself, I was like, I bet it's going to come out as soon as I go around the last corner, and it literally did.
No, so unlucky.
Even my engineer said it. I said it to him. Luckily, it stayed out a long time, and then it obviously went to safety car. So our strategy worked out well. I felt confident in this first stint, so I could go a very long time. If the VSC went out before I got round to the pit lane, I would have been a lot more annoyed than I am right now. But
not a new fish for the
things obviously went our way for sure, because it made the Red Bulls have to stop again, and that obviously put me ahead of Checo, put the Ferrari in between us, and that probably saved me a little bit.
So Albert, how good was Norris, and how good and why was it so good, the McLaren?
Well, they said they did some changes on the car after the sprint race, something that is allowed by the rules this year, and I think it's a good idea to do that. And they set up the car in a way that they could control this degradation, mainly the thermal degradation on the rear axle, I guess, and the temperature help. But I think that this is nothing if the driver don't manage the laps and the pace in a way that he can last at the stint till the safety car appears. They get in, and then the second part of the race it was amazing, because he could control all this degradation till the end, when Checo was pushing hard to try to beat him for the second position. So yeah, good.
All the messaging we got from McLaren coming into this weekend is it's going to be hard for us here. These long corners, they hurt the car. Why? I mean, you've alluded to the temperatures, but why was it quick? Or do you actually think they don't know yet?
I think they were surprised. When you start the season and where the tracks weather degradation was high, like for example this one, and you fail to accomplish your targets in the first races, and then you come here, you expect that you try solutions, but you never know if it work out as it did today. So I'm pretty much sure that the lessons are there for them. They take note of that, and they will try to apply to the following races. But these cars, that the window they work is so close. And as you see, for example, on Ferrari this weekend, or Mercedes, sometimes they just go out of the window and they lose completely. When sometimes you think, okay, we got it, we understand the car, we know where we go, and we know how to play with this car to get the maximum result, the optimum result, and the performance, and then you fall down. So not easy, but it's a good step forward for them, yes.
I'm really excited about the potential of this McLaren, because if they can do what they've done here on a track that's not meant to favour them, they've got the upgrade coming for Miami. I feel the sky is the limit. Albert, what are you expecting from that upgrade?
no one knows. Well, they expect a lot because obviously they put a lot of effort on the wind tunnel and the production, but till the car touch the floor and they do different scans on different setups, they will know how far they can go with it. But obviously they need a car with a better efficiency on the DRS. They need a better efficiency on the car aerodynamically talking, to have more speed and to be capable to defend and to attack on the straights. And I think that some of the upgrades are going on this way. If they accomplish the targets that they put on the table when they write down, we need this, and this, and the car will do that. I think they will be in a position where the first target is to beat Ferrari. That I think is the first step they have ahead, because Red Bull, I think, is too far yet. It's too far.
Wait, is it Mercedes part of getting better?
Only at race 5, but too far. Even
I think so.
Even if we see them go on a run like they did in the second half of last year.
You know, when you are miles away from where you should be, it's easy to go to the. When you are P10, it's easy to go to P5. But the last 10s are very expensive. I mean, expensive not in matters of money, but it's just very difficult to achieve that. The last 10s and the last. Positions of the grid, so to reach where Red Bull is, because Red Bull is not stopping. It's not a matter where Red Bull is not upgrading the car, so I'm pretty much sure that they will be unbeatable, at least in the short term.
And it's incredible how sensitive these cars are, right? Let's look at, Oscar Piastri's race. He came home in P8, but after the little, what do we call it, mini pile up at the hairpin, his diffuser was damaged, and that was wasn't game over, but his pace just dropped away immediately.
Diffuser is creating is the part of the car that is creating more downforce on the whole car. And a car today it works as a whole, and if you destroy something on the diffuser, probably you affect the downforce, but as well probably the efficiency of the rear wing, and the whole aerodynamic structures goes completely crazy, and it's difficult to manage. If you lose downforce, you degrade more the tires, and then it becomes very difficult for him and for any driver.
But they never knew.
Here from third place man Checo Perez now. A slightly more difficult weekend for him here in China.
Once you go by the car ahead and you start fighting for, I don't know how many laps we end up fighting between Charles and myself, then it's really game over. You use so much of your tire, you put so much energy into them that they never really come back. It's quite a high-tech place, and I paid the price, but that was the only way I could get by Charles, because we were obviously at the same age tires, and it was really difficult to get by Charles.
It seemed that you were on the back foot throughout this Grand Prix, right from the start when Fernando Alonso got past.
Yeah, I
so unlucky.
Was on the inside of Max, and had to brake earlier.
New fish for the collection.
On the outside, my start wasn't that good, so yeah, that meant that I lost a place to Fernando. And again, I had to fight quite hard to get by him. Probably used a little bit too much my tires, and that put me definitely in the back foot for the first stint. So yeah, it wasn't a straightforward race. But I also feel like we went in the opposite way with the changes we made from the sprint event into the race. I felt like we took a little bit of a back step.
Except you weren't that happy with the performance of the car in the sprint either.
Well, I think I was just basically fighting, with in the pack. Once you are in the pack, it's so hard to get a read from what the balance actually does. When you have 2-3 cars ahead of you, you have a lot less load in your car, so it's really hard to know where your balance is at. It's just the limitations that I had today that probably it's something we gotta review the directions we've taken to see what we could have done better.
How disappointed will Checo be after that race?
Not that much, I would say, because obviously the safety cars didn't play on his side this weekend, and it didn't pay off the 2 stops strategy compared to Lando's ones. But what I like to say about Checo this year, or what I feel, is that he's not making any mistake. And if we see last seasons with Red Bull, he was often doing mistakes that cost him a lot of points and a lot of podiums, not only on the quali, also on the race. So I think this year he find the consistency. He's more confident with the car, I would say, and he has this this momentum where he's closer to Max, not to beat him yet, not like probably the start of last year. And when you have a number one of Max and in momentum that he's winning 3 titles in a row, he's dominating the first 5 races in a way that he has done this, but the one that was won by Carlos Sainz. I think that one of the important things is the feeling that he has with his teammate, and I'm pretty much sure that Max now is very comfortable with working with Checo. So why, if you are Red Bull, should change this momentum? Having a driver that is doing no mistakes, is scoring a lot of points for the team, is on the podium almost every race, but Australia, and is performing well with the car, and is having a good feeling and a good feedback to the team. I shouldn't change it for any reason.
Let's move on to Ferrari now. 4th and 5th. Leclerc ahead of Sainz this time.
Yep.
They were slower than McLaren here, having been quicker than them in Japan. Did that surprise you?
Yes, and I think it's consequence of the changes they did on the car. They were trying and exploring new setups on the car, and they expected to work, and it didn't. As in Japan, on the qualifying they were slower, but they were expecting to have better pace during the race, managing the tires, but it didn't happen here. So.
I thought they looked really quick in the sprint over 19 laps, so I was expecting more from them in the Grand Prix itself, but we never saw it. It's like they never fired up, did they?
No, I was expecting the same, like in Japan. We said Japan, Ferrari is slower on the qualifying, but then on the race they deploy a fantastic pace, and they could achieve.
How about Mercedes?
With Carlos on the 4th position with Charles, but here there was no chance. Even during the free practice and the qualifying, there was not that point where you go out on the track and you achieve the time easy. So they had to work on the car. They had to be too much laps on outside to achieve the time, and it was a really difficult weekend for them. I think a lot of question marks on the back to Maranello.
Right, lots of question marks, but we haven't had you on the show so far this year, so I would love to get your thoughts on the Ferrari we're seeing now versus the one we saw at the end of last year. There have been huge improvements again, right?
Yes.
Where do you see the main
tire
improvement?
management.
Yeah.
Last year they were suffering a lot. They had a car that was so quick on the qualifying. They achieved a lot of targets and good results during the qualifying, but then they destroyed the tires during the race. And I think that the situation has changed a lot. They work very well on managing the temperature of the tires. That is not only a matter of a driver, only a suspension. There is a lot of aerodynamic work behind this, with the flow that is going inside the rim and around the wheel. And I think that gives to them a good point to control the race pace and to play with the strategies, A, B, C, D, but in a manner where you control yourself. It's not a matter of, okay, we have to go into the garage again and again and again, as today they did with Charles stopping once.
Less of a lottery now.
Yes.
But can we also get your thoughts?
It's easier when the car performs that well. It's easier to play with the strategies.
Formula One is so much easier with a quick car, isn't it?
Yes. And everyone is a good engineer there.
What about Carlos Sainz? Have you been surprised by the apparent step up we've seen from him?
Yes, but we saw at the end of the last year, second part of the season, we saw some momentum of Carlos where he's starting to show strong confidence. I think that he stepped up in a point where he's really confident on himself.
One more new fish
and
for
the
the
fact that Ferrari didn't resign him and announced Hamilton has give him that little extra energy to start the weekends in a very powerful mode. It's not a matter of revenge. It's not a matter of to pay out something that a bill that is pending. It's a matter of believe in himself, and he's doing very well. Obviously, he's more comfortable with the car than Charles, and he's showing that. But situations where, for example, yesterday on the free practice on the qualifying 2, on the Q2, when he went off on the straight, almost crashing, or he crashed the car, but it was nothing at the end. And then the following lap, when he put the new tires, he achieved a good time to go to Q3. So it means that he believes in himself. He's building his own confidence from the Friday up to the Sunday.
Imagine for a moment that you are managing Carlos Sainz.
I'm Carlos Oñoro now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me the glasses.
Where would you put him next year? reportedly Audi have made him a good offer.
Yes.
Red Bull is still an option.
I don't think so. I think Red Bull will have never been an option.
Potentially. Where do you go? What would you do with him?
I will try to give him a seat where he can continue fighting for the targets that he's fighting now, obviously. And there is not many free seats right now. So, yeah, I wouldn't try to keep him on the top 5 teams on the grid. Obviously, he cannot stay in Ferrari. It looks like Aston Martin, after Alonso resigned, we don't know Stroll, but looks like he's gonna stay like this. So McLaren is blocked with Norris and Piastri. So there is only 2 slots there. That is not being confirmed yet. That is Red Bull and Mercedes. If I was his manager, I will push as much as I can to try to get one of that seats, because 2025 is gonna be very similar to 24, and 26 is the target. We have to think about 26.
Albert, there are 2 potential roadblocks, aren't they? At Red Bull, the roadblock is Checo Perez, who's performing well, and I think at Mercedes the potential.
But we don't know Max yet.
True.
We don't know Max yet.
All right.
We
So
know.
that's the one
Stop acting like Max will join to the
potential roadblock. Then you go to Mercedes, right?
No.
Where there is this Formula 2 driver, Kimi Antonelli.
Yep.
Huge talent.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't get plugged into the Mercedes in 2025, Toto Wolff's going to want him in there soon. And I'm sure Carlos isn't going to accept going to Mercedes on a 1-year deal.
Yep, agree.
So that is an avenue that might close on him as well. And then where do you go? It's a really difficult puzzle, isn't
because any single discussion you are having with the team or with the driver, you must think on 2026 rather than 25. 25, it can be a transition. Everyone is happy with that, but the following stage of Formula 1, the following chapter is 2026, and there is a big important change of regulations in chassis, but also in the engine side,
Yeah,
on
this will make
the power
Mercedes
unit
good.
side. So everyone wants to be on the right place, on the right moment in 2026, and no one knows
And
which.
this I would say. The only time Max will join Mercedes is after 2026. For the 2027 season. Then he will join if Mercedes is good. If not, no.
That will be.
He will
But
be
if I
in
have
Red
to
Bull.
guess, I will put my
Or leave
money
the sport.
on the teams that are right now dominating the Formula 1.
So you think Red Bull powertrains will get the job done in their first season competing in Formula 1?
You know what? I have heard, I'm always asking to everyone, and I don't know who's telling the truth or not. Or maybe they are telling the truth, but the information is not accurate, I would say. But I've heard both things. I've heard people saying, well, they are behind the targets. And I've heard people saying me, I know really well what they are doing there, and they are on the targets. And I heard the same thing on the other brands. So I don't know. There's still a lot of time. There's still 1.5 years till we see that the engine's running on a car.
Sorry to interrupt, but is that a long time in the power unit world? Is 18 months a long time?
It's not. It's not. If you are behind the targets, you have to run more than the others, and they are limited for the budget, for the regulation. So it's more difficult than other times where you have, as much money as you can, or you can spend as much as you can. But everyone is talking that some constructions are behind the targets or are slower, let's say, on the development than others. But likely we will not see that till 2026.
And if you were a betting man, where would you put your €10? Carlos
Mercedes.
Sainz to...
Can I split?
Each way bet.
Give me that fun.
Carlos Sainz to Audi, do you think that is the most likely thing?
Yes.
Even if it's not his first preference?
For me, Audi is a good option for the future, but I think that it will be difficult for them. Sauber is a team that right now is still fighting to be in Q3, so there's still a lot of development to go on the chassis to be fighting with teams like Red Bull or like the ones that are dominating right now the Formula 1, and then Audi has to start the project in Formula 1. We know that Audi has a lot of heritage in Formula 1, a lot of success in different categories of motorsport. They will succeed in Formula 1, but not sure if at the beginning. So for a driver that is right now like Carlos, that he's been the only driver who has won a race, but the Red Bull guys last 5 or 6 races, you should
Wow, and if he didn't win it, Charles Leclerc would have.
try to, if you have the chance,
like
to go to a team that is fighting already for the podiums, even next year, but thinking also in 2026.
All right, that's one of the Spaniards on the grid.
Yep.
Let's talk about the other one now, Fernando Alonso.
Not Pedro de la Rosa.
No, yes. Oh, Pedro, friend of the show, of course.
Yes.
First of all, I thought it got pretty spicy between the two Spaniards in the sprint. So did the stewards, because they ended up giving Fernando Alonso
new fish for
3
the
penalty
collection.
points.
Hi.
Tell us about their
Wrong.
relationship, first of all. Is there a lot of competition between them because they're the same nationality, or is it easy between them?
Well, Spain in terms of Formula One is
We
not
don't need more
England,
Ireland.
where you have a lot of drivers going in and out of Formula One for a long time. So we are lucky to have these 2 drivers right now in Formula One, and we have been lucky to have Fernando for such a 20 years already in Formula One, achieving that amazing result, and he still fighting, you know, now in Formula One. And obviously, when you have a driver on track that is from your nationality, there is always a plus where you want to beat him. But I think that they respect themselves a lot inside the track, both. And I wouldn't say that what we saw yesterday in the sprint, it is related to the nationality. You know, they were always fighting on track, whatever is the driver is fighting with. And yeah, what it happened, I think that the penalty was not fair. You know, we are pushing the sprint races to be in Formula One, and we are pushing the drivers to compete and to be aggressive during the sprint races. And maybe they should be a little bit more flexible on these situations where the 2 drivers
Lance Stroll should punish.
Yeah, it was a good battle, but Fernando once again just proving what an intelligent racer he is, right? We saw it in Japan. In fact, we see it most races, don't we?
Really, when he says someone is smart or intelligent, man. And I would say he's stupid. And for him saying someone is smart is like, it gives the wrong impression for me.
He's just so good.
What the fuck did he go?
Indeed.
So I was surprised.
Is this new fish for the collection? It is.
That he went for the soft tyre, because it's a discussion, right? The engineers and all the strategy team at Aston Martin will have obviously crunched the numbers, and they'll have their reasons for going for that soft tyre in the race. But from my vantage point, I couldn't understand it. What do you think?
I will not be the one to.
Am I being really unfair?
No, yeah, there's a lot of knowledge, you know, you're behind what the teams are deciding, and it's very easy from the outside point of view say, okay, we want to stop that, we were better, or you put the tire in there,
strategist,
you know.
that's me, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that we control only 10% of the information that the team are managing in a race weekend. And there is other factors here. Obviously, the tarmac, what had happened with the tarmac, no one knew what tarmac we had here. It was the first sprint, so they decided to go away to save one soft tire. That has been a surprise. In Japan, they start the race with the softs. That no one
and
could.
The restart.
And the restart as well.
Yeah, they were convinced by it.
Before the start of the weekend, no one could put any single pence or pound in a table saying you're going to start the race in a soft tire. And they kept that strategy here. Yesterday with Russell, when they put George Russell, they put they fit the soft tire on the sprint, and it worked not that bad. So I was expecting them to fit that tire, but yeah, it didn't work as an optimal, let's say, pace for them. And yeah, that last pit stop it make them lose some time on track. Yeah.
So Alonso qualifies P3 for both the sprint
amazing lap. Yep.
Well, 2 amazing laps, and for the Grand Prix as well. Yet the pace drops away in the race. What is your understanding of why that happens in the race?
I would say that they are the Ferrari of last year. It's difficult with these cars when you set up them and you try to get the optimum performance of the car, and sometimes you get a car where it's so extremely quick on on one lap situation, but then on the race, the tire degradation it affects a lot the performance. So I'm pretty much sure they are doing trying to get lesson on the first races, trying to get upgrades for the following to try to sort it out. There will be races where the degradation is not that, it doesn't have the impact of this race, or for example last weekend in Japan or Australia, for example, and they will get better results. So when they put all together, I think they will be more competitive, and
with Alonso not strong.
What kind of track are you talking about where there'll be less degradation? Where can we get excited about Aston Martin?
Nowhere.
Let's see if because there is, if you analyze the data, you see, for example, that the Ferrari was so strong on the first 3 or 4 races with low speed corners. You'd say, okay, they will be so strong in circuits like Monaco or maybe Singapore or I don't know, maybe in some other circuits. But then this has changed here because the teams are experimenting with the setups, and they're looking for new ways to find the optimal race. So why not? They could be quick here on these situations, on these tracks. Here we have seen Aston Martin as well deploying a good top speed that we haven't seen on the first races. Alonso was capable to defend well, but obviously they were lacking of downforce. So
no, fuck, we have already yellow purple.
It's difficult to say. Last year we say Aston Martin will be in a situation to win in Monaco, almost. And then Singapore, and they weren't. So
I'm getting flashbacks of Q3 in Monaco last year. Wasn't it amazing when Max was using his car as a pinball and Fernando was so close?
The last sector was amazing.
He must have loved that last stint of this Chinese Grand Prix as well, when he had better tyres than the people in front of him, and that amazing save at turn 16, the last corner.
Crazy, yeah? And opening the DRS immediately.
True.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's only a few drivers can do
I really
kind of
hope
things.
he walks past us, because I want to ask him about that if he does.
Yeah.
Do you think Aston Martin can win a race?
Nope.
It's going to be difficult, as it is. You know, we have to be clear right now in terms of race pace. Aston Martin is a 4th or 5th team, maybe together close to Mercedes. That's a fact. This is data. We cannot think that with this data you can win a race. But in Formula One everything can happen. It can happen that they unlock the potential of the car, and they can sacrifice a little bit of pace of the qualifying and convert it in a better race pace. There will be options, and obviously they have one asset that no other team has, that is Fernando Alonso. And when you have Fernando Alonso behind the wheel, and there is a situation where everything is upside down, and there is a difficult situation where you have to put your best on it, he is a master. You know, when it's raining, when there is opportunities on track, when there is a chaos, there is always Fernando there to exploit and to explode his best skills on the car, because he's a master on a race.
Now I'm delighted to say that Fred has been able to rejoin us at a perfect moment, because let's talk about Mercedes now. He led the sprint on Saturday, but it was an unhappy Sunday for Lewis Hamilton.
Blue-white.
Car's just sliding around everywhere. It's just like something's broken. It's probably just his balance. It's really bad. Okay, copy.
Well, Lewis, judging by team radio, it sounded like balance was quite hard to come by today. Did you enjoy the race, at least going from where you were on the grid to points finish?
Not particularly. I mean, I was pretty slow. But I mean, the few battles I had was okay. But I mean, I was not particularly quick today.
How would you sum up his weekend, Fred?
I think in many ways a bit up and down, a bit frustrating, because the sprint race was optimistic. He was leading. He finished second eventually. But then, the qualifying was tough for him. Lock up in turn 14. Definitely missed out on going into Q2. And I would say he had the pace to be actually in Q3. So it was a big mistake on time. And unfortunately that put him on the back of the grid. And then in Sunday's race, he got to P9, but definitely not happy with the car, and it just highlights it needs to improve to get more performance out of it.
Fred, for a young guy like you with the bulk of your career ahead of you, what are you learning when you listen to Lewis Hamilton in the debriefs, when you watch him on the TV?
It's great to watch when the team is winning, doing pole position and all of that. But there is...
I mean, last time was in Brazil. No, 2022 was the last time they won. And that was not because they were good. Everyone else was bad. So, what time do you talk about?
Also a lot to learn when it's not happening. And for me as a reserve driver to be here on these weekends where they're discussing the car setup, they're discussing how they're driving the car and how it should be in the future. That's actually really good learning for me. But obviously it's frustrating for the team to be chasing a lot of lap time and hopefully can really improve in the next few weeks.
You did a couple of FP1s at the end of last year, so you know what that car felt like. Are the comments the same this year? Because there is a completely different philosophy, we're told, with this car, but are the issues the same?
I wouldn't say they're exactly the same as last year. Obviously, by fixing one problem, you might introduce another one. It can happen, and I'm not entirely sure if that's what's happened, but for sure it's a problem with the car and it needs to improve. And both the race team and also the drivers are chasing that lap time. That's why a mistake like Lewis made in quali, that happens when the car is not fast enough, because you need to overdrive it. You need to try to squeeze everything out of it to maximize the lap, and that can be a problem for a driver.
Were you disappointed that the soft tyre at the start of the race didn't work better for him?
Yeah, I was so excited when he started on the soft. I really
thought we were going to see a real charge.
Exactly,
right?
like
and
just
nothing
flying
happened.
through the field. But
so
no,
beautiful.
it didn't really happen. The problem with this track and tires are they're overheating in traffic. So it's actually a bit of an issue when you're behind people, because you try to overtake, then you slide the rear tires and they overheat. You lose a lot of grip. You can lose probably a second a lap if you overheat the rear tires. And that's what happened to Lewis. So a shame they were not as powerful as we had hoped. But yeah, in the end he actually still ended in the points, which was good.
Which was good, as did George Russell in P6. I thought we saw some
Getting
heroic
into the points.
defence by George in the middle of the race. Do you remember? I think it was Carlos behind him, and he was not letting him pass.
Yeah, exactly. That's the mentality you need as a driver when you're fighting for P1 or P6. It's important to show that you are willing to fight for points, and as a team, that's really what you want to see from your driver as well.
All right, look, Fred, I know you've got to go to the airport. Final one from me is, what is the mood inside Mercedes now? Because I thought we came into this year, there was a lot of hope, and yet there are still these little issues. We see little moments where it shines, but actually the performance still isn't there.
Yeah, I think the team is determined to go back to the glory days where they were P1 in quali, P1 in race, and dominating the field. But I think everyone recognized that it takes a lot of work as well. I'm a reserve and sim driver. I know how much work we need to put in, and I feel that as well. The engineers feel that, and everyone at the factory. Of course, it's tough when you have high expectations and the car is not delivering, but at the same time, the team is united, and we are ready to work really hard to
united
to
on what
coming this year, but also looking
that
ahead.
they don't know.
Fred, many thanks for your inputs. It's been great to chat. Travel safe. When are you next back in a racing car?
Next is in 30 hours or something. I'm headed straight to France to drive a race car, so I'm quite excited.
Okay, a bit of jet lag.
Yes, definitely. A lot of jet lag.
One new fish for the
Fred,
collection.
thanks. Travel safe. Great to have you on the show. Brilliant. Look, Albert, on the topic
that
of
one I need to place
Mercedes.
Yep.
You know, Fred talked about overheating the
minus
tyres.
one.
Where do they go? What do they do to improve? And do you think the scope is there in that car to challenge, well, Ferrari and McLaren at least?
Difficult for basically because I think that this car not as much as the 7.0 versions of the modern car, but yeah, still a lot of question marks that they don't. It looks like they don't control where to get the optimum behavior and the optimum performance of the car. There's situations we have seen free practice or qualifying where the car is so quick, where they thought probably that they were on the right way to optimize the performance, but then suddenly that performance drop off completely, and they were completely lost. And that means that the window is so tight, is so narrow.
Yeah,
and to be there in that window in the different situations and especially with the nature of these cars is very difficult for them. It's not an easy situation, definitely. Of a car that has been winning in the way that Mercedes have been winning the hybrid era, to be in a situation where 1 year, second year, and a third year, and you don't achieve to be closer to the other contenders, must be so difficult.
Back to the driver silly season.
Yep.
Do you think Max Verstappen
No.
will be in a Mercedes in
He will
2025?
fucking not be there.
I don't know, but if would
Actually,
be Max
I'm gonna
Verstappen,
interrupt
I wouldn't leave a car that is a winning
True.
car.
That's the racing driver in you. But it was interesting, actually, Albert, when you and I met up just before we started recording.
Yep.
Toto Wolff and Helmut Marko, long discussion.
Yes, with
weren't
Checo.
they? With Checo was there as well, actually. Yeah. Just to muddy the waters a bit.
There is a chess game now playing on the table with a lot of factors and a lot of drivers and a lot of factors involved. But if I was, would be Max Verstappen, I wouldn't leave a seat of a car that I guess in 2025 is going to be the winning car as well.
Yeah, orange.
I think he knows that. There's nothing in his body language or anything that comes out of his mouth that makes me think he's about to leave Red Bull.
And I
Only
think that's
here,
it.
he was saying, I am happier in this car than I was last year.
If you do me the same question about 2026,
Yeah, fuck
that I'm not sure. That I'm not sure. I will not put any money.
It's just life.
But for me, 2025, Max will stay. He knows
And a
how
lot of
difficult it is to
copium.
win a championship, and he's in a winning team with a winning car
New
and
fish
in a
for the
winning
collection.
momentum. Why would you change?
Oh my god, 3
that?
new fishes.
Moving to a team that, like today, is just fighting for the 5th or 6th position.
Look, one other guy I wanted to ask you about was Nico Hülkenberg
Amazing.
and Haas, right?
Incredible.
Incredible to see them back in the points. Hulk P10, good in quali, feisty in the race.
It must be Brian.
You know, I'm very happy to see the small teams achieving results like being in quali in the Q3 and then achieving the amazing result for them that is being the points. And it was a very difficult moment the end of the last year. You remember when they brought that last upgrade and they had to split the upgrade on one car in one way on the other because they didn't understand anything what's going on the car, or not anything, but a lot of things that were going on the cars, and the drivers were happy or not. So when you saw that and then they changed the team principle, I thought, oh, it's going to be a very tough season for them. And yeah, completely different situation now, and they did good races. They adding points to the standings, and very happy to see a small team that has been in a difficult situation to achieve that target. Very happy.
And they've transformed the tyre issues they had last year, haven't they? So it's really positive. And what can they do?
Same as Ferrari.
Yes, exactly.
The big brother. The big brother.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point, Albert.
That's going to be a look to the hairpin for Zhou Guanyu, and the home favourite gets ahead. Sargent can't fight back there. A crash.
And it just seemed to get you right in the ticker. Where did it hit you, the emotion at that point?
Honestly, the whole crowd,
1, 2, 3,
as much as
4,
say I want to
5,
focus,
6.
treat this as a normal race weekend, but then when you see the crowd from Friday, they are all packed on the grandstand every
82.
stage, and then every time you go out from garage, they are cheering on the grid. So all this it just get me, and also this journey, to get here. I'm just super proud and honored to be finally having the first Chinese driver to complete in the Chinese Grand Prix after 20 years. So emotional,
nice.
of course. That's a very special moment for me.
There's 6.
With me, Chinese journalist Frankie Mao. Frankie, the atmosphere this weekend has been better than ever, I would say. Would you agree?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Tom. It's the race I could literally say I've been waiting for 5 years, because I still remember in 2019, the 1000th Grand Prix, it was a very mega one. We waited for another one, now 5 years, finally we did it. Well, and just because Formula One, everybody just so hyped a lot to come into race, and we have Zhou Guanyu as the first ever Chinese race driver in China, his hometown in Shanghai, to race in front of all the fans, all the Chinese fans. So it's a very touching moment for me, for my own career, I can say that.
Yeah. And it's a sellout, am I right?
Yes, I understand, because it's
Yellow,
the
purple,
ticket started very
yes.
early in January, and the first hour, it was sold out. I got so many messages. come on, how can we get the tickets? I say, I'm sorry, it's sold out.
Joe actually said recently that his grandstand sold out in 4 minutes.
Yeah, and because his grandstand is right in front of the Kickstarter garage, so you can see all the fans, they want just to cheer for their local here, because 70 years in Formula One. It's only Joe is the first Chinese driver race in Chinese Grand Prix.
Well, how much of it is down to Joe? This passion for Formula One there is now in China.
Red line.
It's very important for Chinese in any sport. When you have a local hero to cheer up, it's like Yao Ming went to NBA. The basketball is definitely still huge at the time. It's still very huge now. And the Formula One, we watched Formula One for so many years, but when you have a really your compatriot driver, you can cheer up. That's one of the reasons you just stay up all night to watch him race. And finally he came back to Shanghai because he never raced in the track before. But when he moved to the UK very young at 12, now the first race he coming here, and you just see people can come back to cheer his name and want to have a selfie with him.
You say that the fan base really respects and follows him. Is there another Joe coming through in the junior formulas?
Well, I must say very honestly, at the moment, there are some couple of young drivers in very junior category, but we still need to wait to see how far they can go, because everyone understands to climb the ladder of single seater, it's so difficult. That's why make Joe so phenomenal. But you need all the dedication, all the passion, and all the right support with him, and go every step on the right way to make where he is now.
It's been fantastic to be here this weekend. The noise from the crowd, the atmosphere. It's great to be back in this paddock as well.
It is 5 years. It's look just like yesterday in some way, but it's still very long. And you can see how the general growth of Formula One in China. We know that COVID is a very different time, but everyone watched the Formula One at home and really see how the racing goes. And when Joe really raced his own game, and now he's in Formula One, everybody just so excited to see it.
It's been fantastic, and Frankie, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you again, Tom.
So, Albert, like Frankie, I've been blown away by it this weekend.
Yeah. I have the same feeling, not only because Joe and his achievements in Formula One, also because the stands were full, but were full of people excited of Formula One. And they enjoyed the race, and that's, I think, the most positive thing, that now they were here to see the race and follow their drivers, and to cheer them to achieve the results. So I think there's been a big step up in terms of Formula One in China. I've had a long relationship with China in my career. You remember Ma Qinghua, the Chinese driver?
He did FP1 here.
I was managing him when he came here.
What year was
to
that?
race with Caterham. He did. I was his coach in HRT when he makes his debut in Formula One, and then I managed him to reach Caterham and do the free practice one here in China with Caterham, that he did very well. So I think it's been a big step forward and positive for Formula One and for China.
Did you see there was one T-shirt someone was wearing, and it said
"We love you, Tom Clarkson."
Yeah. It said "Sauber pit stop scrutineer," because of course they have had issues with their pit stops this year. Not here, actually. One of the things they've done since Japan is that they took part in the 2-day Pirelli test, and they were able to practice some pit stops there.
Good.
And I felt that was certainly better. What about the pace of the car? Because both cars did well in the sprint qualifying, but that was in the wet.
Yep.
Whereas in the dry, Valtteri was P10. Do you feel they're starting to unlock a bit of potential in that car?
Definitely. And I would say that was Australia. If it was not because of the pit stop problem, Valtteri was in a situation where he could fight for the points. So yeah, they have lights in that tunnel. Let's say they have moments where they have the pace. They have momentums where they can be in that couple of positions where they can fight for the points. But yeah, they need some consistency, not only on the pit stops, also on the car, a little bit more of a speed to think that they can be fighting there. But doing steps forward. I think that by the mid of the season they will be much stronger than we have seen till now.
What about Joe? Do you feel he deserves to stay at Sauber next year?
I don't know. It's not only a big because of you know, he's in Formula One because he's a good driver and he's proving that. You know, this year he's been
good enough
in some situations quicker than Valtteri Bottas, and Valtteri Bottas is a race winner, so he has a lot of experience. Not easy to beat him in a Formula One. So he needs to prove that he can continue working together with the team. There is obviously a factor that we cannot miss. That is, he's from China. China is important for the Formula One, also for Sauber. So yeah, if the situation it shows that he can prove the skills on the car and keep showing progression, being quicker and quicker and more consistent, and obviously been having a good support from China, why not he can continue in Sauber in the future? We'll see.
Team Sainz.
He was putting me in a situation where he said, if you're managing Carlos Sainz, I said, well, I'm going to be Carlos Oñoro. We have Carlos Oñoro here now.
Tom, don't speak to Albert. He has no clue what he's talking about.
Hang on, while I've got you. Come here. No, you're running. Don't run. You can't join the show.
You can ask the same question to me now. Say to him.
If you were managing Carlos Sainz, oh, you do. Hang on. Right, you're the right man. Look, how many balls have you got in the air at the minute?
A few. Let's say it's an interesting period of time at the moment. The driver market has been all over the place lately, and I think we will see some movements in the upcoming weeks, but for the moment the juggling continues.
Do you think, will we hear anything before Miami?
Nope. No. You can sleep well between China and Miami, don't worry. There will be no big news, at least coming from us, for sure not. We're still playing the game, so we'll see.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Travel safe.
I will
Carlos.
say very little games will be played.
It's going to take time, yeah. Everyone is using the time on his side, so...
I feel like it's more talk about Carlos Sainz can do something than he actually can do something.
We'll see.
So, look, final thoughts.
Yep.
We've discussed all the main contenders here in China. Disappointments for VCARB, double retirement there.
But there was some smiles there to see Daniel having the performance back with the new chassis. Not sure if it's the new chassis.
New fish for the
only.
You know, you've worked inside Formula One teams.
Yes.
How much difference does a chassis make? I heard Alan Permain, the sporting director,
it shouldn't be a difference.
Well, he just said it's a lump. I'm quoting Alan Permain now. It's a lump of carbon fiber. I don't believe it makes any difference. Is what Alan says.
But sometimes it's in the head of the driver.
Okay.
Sometimes
so
the drivers need something like this because they are thinking that the chassis is not giving the performance that is required from it, and they need a change of chassis, and they enter in a way that nothing is right till the chassis is new arrive, and when the chassis is new arrive, they unlock this performance again. So there is I don't know the chassis, so I cannot say if there is any difference.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and tell you, yes, the chassis could be a factor, but also is there a factor that Daniel's always gone well here? He won here back in 2018.
Agree.
You know, and Yuki had never been here before, so he was slightly playing catch up as well.
Probably. That's another factor. We will see on the following races. So I don't have the answer for this. We will have to see on the following races if Yuki, we will have the Yuki that was dominant on the first races to Daniel, or we will see the Daniel that he was quicker than the Japanese. I was very impressed by Yuki on the first races. Yes.
Stop giving
Not also in Japan. Also on the first 3 races he was quicker. So good.
Ocon drove a good race.
Yes.
Do you feel Alpine have they taken a step forward?
Well, they had the new chassis here, lighter, and they have a spare chassis now. So if they crash and the upgrades arrive, new floor, only for one car. So yeah, it was good to see that there is a step forward for them, and that there's still some things to come for the following races. They can start now playing with the ballast on the car that is not been possible for the first races because they were overweight. And from here we will see a different. I hope that we will see a different Alpine, not that team that was always on Q1 and with no options to achieve points. Today they were close to it. So happy to see that the hard work that are going on in Enston is paying off.
So the top 10 look like this.
This
Max
is so
Verstappen
annoying.
took win number 57 of his career and his first here in China.
Oh my God.
Lando
Fuck
Norris
me.
was second, the 15th
with this.
podium of his career. When is that first win going to happen for Lando? And Sergio Perez rounded out the
Someday,
podium in
hopefully
third
this
place.
year.
Next came the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc in fourth, Carlos Sainz in fifth, with George Russell in sixth, Fernando Alonso in seventh, then the wounded car of Oscar Piastri in eighth, Lewis Hamilton ninth, and Nico Hülkenberg in 10th. In the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen has extended his lead. He's got 110 points, 25 ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. Charles Leclerc is third on 76 points, just 7 ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris is fifth on 58, 20 points ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri. George Russell is 7th, Fernando Alonso 8th, Lewis Hamilton 9th, and Lance Stroll 10th. In the Constructors' Championship, it is all about Red Bull. They're out front on 195 points, with Ferrari second, 44 points further back. McLaren are still third on 96 points, with Mercedes fourth on 52. Then come Aston Martin in fifth on 40 points. And then there's a big gap back to VCarb, who are sixth with just 7 points. Haas are seventh on 5 points, and then Williams, Alpine and Sauber have yet to score. Albert, it's been fab to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. We always end with driver of the day. Lando Norris won the vote on the TV.
I cannot say anyone else that Lando today. Nico drove amazingly well this weekend, but this momentum with the safety car. But Max, again, I know, but you know, it's so difficult to see a driver not doing any single mistakes in a whole weekend like this. So, yeah, I would say Lando. Lando has been fantastic.
Lando has been fantastic.
But yesterday, sprint start.
Going back to the sprint with Lando, I asked him in the press conference, do you feel Lewis hung you out there? And he said no. I thought Lewis outwitted him, outraced him there in that battle to turn one, and Lando will have learned, he will have clocked. But did you feel that
Well, everyone is taking, the maximum of his opportunities. You're not racing alone. So if you know that someone can try this move, as today Alonso to his Checo, and it worked, he's taking the opportunity. And for me, it was mainly a mistake of Lando there. So, the track was dirty outside of the race line, and moving on that way is always a risk, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it doesn't work. So it didn't work yesterday.
Albert, I'm going to agree with you. You can't really look anywhere else other than Lando Norris. He's been absolutely stunning today. I will throw the name Fernando Alonso out there because I think he's been
oh my God, did I still not pick that up?
But in a difficult car with tyre deg problems, he's done another brilliant job. But Lando Norris gets the vote from both of us. Well, thank you, Albert, very much for your time. It's been great to talk through it all.
My pleasure.
Love to have you on again another time. Thank you to Fred, who is probably by now at the airport on a plane on his way home.
In a car in 30 hours, amazing. Huh?
Yeah. He's doing a lot of sports car racing. I think he's got a Formula E test coming up as well later in the year. But Fred, thank you very much for your insight as well. Quick reminder about F1 Beyond the Grid. We were talking about Zhou Guanyu earlier. That episode is available. It's last Wednesday's episode. It's on the YouTube channel and, of course, on your podcast app. And coming up this week, I had a very revealing chat with Stoffel van Dorn, the Aston Martin reserve driver, who previously raced at McLaren with Fernando Alonso. You can hear that
oh my God, where
from
the fuck
Wednesday.
did I place that one?
Next up for F1 Nation, we're off to Miami. Join us next Monday for our preview of the first US race of the season. But thank you very much for listening. F1 Nation is produced by Formula One and Audio Boom Studios.
Oh my God, fuck me even more. Oh my God, fuck me.
Yes, räcker upp till dubbel.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Så länge det nästa.
Oh my God, go fuck yourself.
Bästsäljande varumärket i kallare vatten.
Oh my God, fuck me. Where the fuck do you get so many fishes now? Where are you? There, more fish for the collection. And then I really need to find fucking... Then we also pick that fish also up. Where are you, salmon? Salmon fish. There we have it. Man, the fuck is the shulker box? Oh my god. One more fish for the collection. Man, they're spamming the fish now. Oh my god, the fuck is this? One more fish for the collection. Oh, fuck me, what the fuck is this? One more fish for the collection. Oh shit. Yeah, but I need to end it and then I need to fucking find where the shulker box is. And we go to sleep and end this like the other times. $281. Yeah. And that was some more Formula 1 stuff. And yeah, when will Formula 1 be next? Oh, fuck this ad. So annoying. When will the next race be? Miami. May 5th. So until then, we will see if there will be more Formula 1 stuff.